of the matter is this. There were a handful of teams that contacted the Nets to take the temperature on whether or not any of the big three, particularly Kyrie, Irving, were available. Everyone knew that Durant's not available and Harden's almost assuredly not available. But since they acquired Harden, and because the Nets, have a surplus of scoring and a surplus of ball handling, there's thought Kyrie might be available. And those teams were not told untouchable, no reason to call us back. It's like calling, Golden State for Steph. It'll never happen. They were led to believe, we'll be irresponsible not to listen. But now there is nothing to listen to because, and this I know for an utter certainty, no matter what gifts Kyrie sends to me on Twitter, Kyrie's people told anyone that would listen, trade for him at your own peril. If he were ever to be traded from Brooklyn, he would simply retire. And by the way, Broussard, and you can elaborate on this, he publicly on the record a few years ago said that I'm not a guy that thinks I'm going to play late into my 30s. That is said, I always expected that my career would be over in my early 30s, where he is right now. Now, nobody is thinking he is planning on retiring right now, and I am not reporting Kyrie Irving contemplating retirement. That's not the report. The report is that he told people if he were traded, he would simply walk away, which is, of course, going to make no one trade for him. So that's the news. Why the Nets would consider it, what that means about relationships, we could speculate on that. But that's the news, and I am as certain as that as I am that Wild stole that sport coat from me. I am 100%.
Well, Nick, first of all, welcome to the world of NBA reporting. But let me warn you, it's mean out in these streets, bro. It's mean out in these streets, all right? But look,
you
mentioned the retirement thing.
All of a sudden, even when I'm sorry, Broussard, I don't know how you did it for 20 years. Even when you know you're right, all of a sudden you have these pings of anxiety. You're reading the wording of tweets again and again. It's not fun. Don't enjoy the world at all. But it's my job to bring information to the masses. Go ahead, Broussard. Sorry.
Yes, it is what it is, bro. But here we go. As far as retirement, look, the last several years, I have heard from players, I've heard from people in front offices, executives. Don't be surprised. They're not reporting it. They're not saying it's going to happen for sure. But they were just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if one day Kyrie Irving shocked the world and just retired out of the blue. Because we know Kyrie is a guy that has all types of other interests. And so that's out there. Now, I did talk to someone close to Kyrie last night or texted with them. And I was told that they're highly doubtful that he would retire. But you do have to throw it out there that if indeed the Nets were considering moving him, that you might have your representative say, look, anybody that trades for him, he will retire because Kyrie Irving is ecstatic to be at home in northern New Jersey. All right, so he definitely does not want to be traded. And I don't think he's going to be traded. I think the Nets are definitely going to run this thing back, and maybe Kyrie will even get a contract extension. But here's the thing, Nick. Look, as great as Kyrie is, I think I'm higher on him than you are, Nick. I think he's a no-doubt first-ballot Hall of Famer. But as great as he is, he's not Kevin Durant. He's not Steph Curry. He's not LeBron James. He's not a guy that you just automatically hang up the phone on. How dare you even call me about him? If someone calls you to talk about trading for Kyrie, you at least listen. You do your due diligence. Doesn't mean you're going to trade him. Doesn't mean you'll strongly consider it. But you'll listen. If Philly calls me about Ben Simmons, if Portland calls me about Damian Lillard, if Washington calls me about Bradley Beal, I'll listen. I don't know if I'd trade Kyrie for those guys, but I definitely would listen for two reasons. One, because he's unreliable for two reasons. As great as he is, one, he's injury prone. He's missed 4 playoffs, either the entire postseason or significant chunks of the playoffs in his career, including last year. And two, because of his quirkiness. All right, last year he took whole weeks at a time off just for undisclosed personal reasons. So those things make him unreliable to a degree, and that's why, as great as he is, the Nets would at least listen to offers or possibly consider moving him if it's a good deal, Wilds.
I'll respond to that quickly, Broussard. Listen, the guys you listed, because I had talked about the Kyrie Ben Simmons trade previously. Wilds, I think, and Broussard's right, he's higher on Kyrie than I am. Kyrie is obviously a better player than Ben Simmons. But when it comes to fits and what teams need, like one could argue that Ben would add more to Brooklyn than Kyrie does, as a for instance, just because they have Harden and they have Durant. And that's just one of the examples. I think that the reason the Nets would have the internal conversations is they have so much already with KD and Harden of what Kyrie brings that maybe, the sum can be greater than the individual parts if you were to get the right package of people for Kyrie Irving. Wilds.
So my question is this, and I'll ask Broussard. As constructed right now, the Nets are the favorite to win the championship. They were a Kevin Durant shoe size away from beating the Bucks. I would argue that they got better now that, they re-signed Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, who I think still has plenty in the tank, is back on the team. So if it was me running the Nets and someone calls me like, hey, do you want to get better? My answer would be no. We're as good as we can be right now. If anything, I want less volatility on the team. And I don't mean volatility emotionally. I just mean moving parts. The guys only played a handful of games together, and they were very successful. I think they were 11-3 when they all played together. I don't want to keep on moving pieces in and out. I want to keep it as is. So to me, I was surprised that they were willing to make more changes to the roster, including one of their foundational pieces.
Well, look, the only reason you would consider trading Kyrie, as I said, is his unreliability, the injuries, the quirkiness, all right, that maybe takes him out of games. But let's look at a few of those players. Damian Lillard, I don't know. I probably wouldn't do it because I don't think Dame would be as good off the ball as Kyrie is. And I want James Harden being my point guard. Bradley Beal, he hasn't played in big games like Kyrie has. Kyrie has shown that he is clutch. He is at least as clutch as Kevin Durant, if not more so. And having him keeps James Harden from having to be in the clutch mix, if you will.
That guy.
So you got two clutch guys, and Harden can just distribute. But Ben Simmons, makes you better defensively. You obviously lose something offensively, Nick. So I don't know that I'd make those moves, any of those trades, but there's certainly things I'd listen to if I'm the Nets.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.